And now, Lori Beth Denberg with more vital information for your everyday life.
If you go fishing and you don't use all the worms, put cheese on them, give them to your little brother, and tell him it's wormaroni and cheese. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat, and later realized he'd ruined a perfectly good hat. If someone comes up to you and says, "Have a nice day," stomp hard on his foot and say, "Have a broken toe."
This has been Lori Beth Denberg with vital information.
Hey dudes and dudettes, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast, a podcast chock full of everything that is nostalgic about the 80s, 90s, and more, where we have nostalgic chats with our favorite celebrities about our nostalgia-filled VHS days. This episode, we're heading back to Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida, with one of 90s Nickelodeon's most iconic and popular actresses, where you've seen her diabolically denying prizes to kids on Figure It Out, rapping for votes on the Steve Harvey Show, and of course, giving us vital information for our everyday lives on Nickelodeon's All That. And you can also find her in the upcoming short film, Lost Treasure of the Valley. So I welcome the amazing, the wonderful, the ordained minister, Lori Beth Denberg.
Hello, that was the most wonderful. I feel like I should ask you to speak at my funeral. That was just the nicest intro ever.
Well, thank you so much. You know, I'm there. I mark the invitation, I'm there, so thank you. And again, thanks for taking the time. And like I just said, the ordained minister, that's the first thing I want to talk about. So what got you into becoming an ordained minister?
It's an interesting story. Well, it's a story. My oldest friend, we were in a first, second split grade class together. So we've known each other since the first grade. Mm-hmm. He was getting married to his wife, who's now wife. And they were having a small wedding. So I was saying to her, you know, I'd love to help you with whatever you need. I'm not assuming I'll be invited. Because I knew it was small. And they both looked at me like, are you kidding me? Of course you're going to be invited.
You're going to be there, yeah.
Yeah. And then I made a joke like, oh, I should get ordained and marry you guys. Then I'll definitely get invited. And it was like, ha, ha, ha. And then apparently like 2 days later, she went up to him and she goes, I know LB was kidding, but I think she should marry us. And he said, I was thinking the same thing. So they asked me and I got ordained online, which takes 2 seconds. But I did spend extra money to get this card that's in my wallet.
Oh, so you bust out like an FBI agent, just flip it out?
Exactly right. It makes me feel like an FBI agent. I'm like, Lori Denberg, ordained minister.
I got this covered.
Yeah, so I did their wedding and I wrote a lot of it myself, you know, just about them. And people really went crazy for it. Mm-hmm. And they said, this was so great. You should do this. And I thought, well, I could do this one because I've known the groom for 35 years.
Yeah, 35 years of history to write about.
Exactly. But they said, no, you should do it. So I offered my services and I've done about 20 weddings now. And what I do is when a new couple contacts me, we'll get together for like a 2.5 hour meeting, sometimes on Skype because they're not always next door to me. Mm-hmm. And I interview them for like 2 hours and I ask them all these questions about themselves, how they met, everything, basically everything from how they met to the proposal and beyond.
Like a marriage therapist before they get going.
Exactly. And I use all their answers to write a personalized ceremony for them.
That's a great idea.
So every ceremony is like different and has stuff about the actual couple. And it's my favorite thing. It's such a special moment to be in, you know, be up there marrying 2 people on their wedding day. So I love it.
Oh, well, I mean, with your charisma and your personality, I'm sure it's awesome to have you up there marrying somebody. So the people who've reached out to you, like what's the ratio of people who are just needing someone to officiate or somebody, or compared to people who know who you are and want you to be their officiant at their wedding? Yeah,
I think there might have only been one couple so far that just didn't know who I was. And
they were just under a rock through the 90s, basically.
Yeah, but I mentioned on some on a website called noweddingdebt.com. for a bride that I did her wedding, and she talks about me there, and she gets a lot of hits on her website.
Oh, okay.
So they heard about me there, and they were just like, "Yeah, no, you seemed good," and I was like, "Okay, cool." But a lot of the couples are 90s kids. Like all the 90s kids are kind of getting married-ish age.
Oh yes, I'm 2 years
So,
in.
yeah. So
Mhm.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And so it's pretty fun for them, and then it's pretty fun for me
Oh, of course, of
because I
course.
love doing it.
Yeah, and like I was telling you before we got on, is I'm a wedding DJ on this side as well, so I work with a lot of ministers, and like there are times where like you could put the microphone and the microphone starts cutting out, and they look at you. I'm like, make it work, and they just start. That's why I love ministers, because they always make it work. Efficient always makes it work. So I love working with you guys. So you save the wedding DJ's day on multiple occasions that you probably don't even know.
Yeah, and the wedding DJ is also my like touchstone too, because I bring the ceremony. It's paper, and it's usually like, you know, pages long, and I
Mhm.
always bring two copies because a lot of weddings are outside,
Oh
and so I
yes.
have my copy like up front, and then I give the DJ the second, like in case something horrible happens and all my pages blow away, you are holding the other copy.
That's a great idea, because I haven't had that happen, but that's a great backup just in case. Because
Yeah,
and the mountains out here in Colorado, yeah, there's winds blowing everything away.
right.
So the backup is key for sure. So yeah, no, that's awesome. If I had known 2 years ago that you were ordained minister, we might have had you at ours. Who knows? But for people who haven't or are looking to get married, I guess you know who could be potentially your officiant in the future. So look up Lori Beth for things like that. Where can they find you? I guess if they want to have you come up.
They can find my wedding stuff at wedbylb.com. And then I just have loribethdenberg.com as well, that you can like, it all smushes to, you can email me from wherever.
Well, before you propose, fellas, you know where to go.
Huh.
Go get it checked out. But well, that's great. That's awesome. Like I said, when I saw the ordained minister, I was like, I got to bring it up because, like I said, as a wedding DJ, the officiant and the DJ go hand in hand for the solid
Exactly.
period of the time. So that's very awesome. But getting just into the things about yourself as well, other things about yourself. I read that you started, acting at a young age, some community theaters and plays. So what got young Lori Beth into acting? Was like a movie, TV, or like friend or family member who acted?
I didn't have a friend or family that was like an actor. I gravitated toward it. I like to sing, so I would be in the chorus and stuff. And it's just something that caught my eye. I did love TV. And my whole life, I loved TV in a different. I mean, I know we all like to sit and zone out at TV, but there was just something more intriguing to me about it. And I love to go to plays. I would go to plays with my family when I was young at the local college,
Mm-hmm.
and then some, at the real theater.
What were some of
And
your favorite ones that you went to?
oh my goodness, what are my favorite? We went to a production of Peter Pan that was really neat, and then all the characters came out afterwards, and it was like, oh, you're here.
It's like,
I
oh,
don't
I can
what's
touch you, I can see you.
exactly. Um, Gosh, that's a really good question. No one's asked me that question before. What are some plays that really got me?
Yeah, I mean Peter
Uh,
Pan, even though it's like it's done all over the place, it feels like when you see it more of a community theater, it has a little more feeling to it because you
yeah,
see the like you said, the character in it, because it doesn't have that huge production, I guess, behind it.
yeah, and I was little, so it's not like I had already seen, it was like
Hmm.
the first time I'd seen it. So it was just like, oh my goodness. So I don't know, I remember the movie Annie. I'm
Okay.
dating myself.
No,
The original movie Annie, not the one that just came out.
no,
But
no. The original
that
Hard
was
Knock.
that exactly. That was something that really, like, I was singing the songs and made everybody stop and watch me dance and all, like, at family stuff. And
But you put on
so
the
that's
wig. You put on
actually
the
what,
wig and belt it out.
yes, not quite the wig. I was just, it was my interpretation. But so yeah, that was actually a thing that really kind of sparked my interest and got in my brain.
Okay, so when you're doing your other roles, like other than attending, what were some of the plays that you liked to be in, or the characters you played?
I remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Plaisance. Hello, she's my Facebook friend.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. I'm shouting out. I'm not throwing shade. Wouldn't that be weird? I'm throwing shade.
You'd be like, you know what? I really hated my third grade teacher. Let me bring him up real quick.
Get into a rap battle. She did a bunch of plays during, this was first grade. And what we all played crayons. This is pretty interesting. The first one I got cast in was I think it was for Martin Luther King Day. It was for like an assembly. And I got cast as Rosa Parks.
Oh, man. Okay, I got to hear this.
Like strange. And I mean, it wasn't strange. She must have seen something in me. But
you had the fight and the resilience in you. She saw it.
Yeah. I probably could just remember the words. And
that was probably it.
That's half the battle. But, that was like the first thing I remember. Was being in that play. And then whenever she would do these plays, like I would just be so into it. I would know everybody's lines. I just loved it. Like it just was what I wanted to do. So, and that carried through, junior high and high school and community theater. And that's what I tell people that, cause tons of people come up to me. They're like, how can I want to get my kid into acting. What should I do?
AKA, I want to be famous too.
Sometimes. Yeah, it's hard for me because I don't want to be like, well, does your kid want to be in acting or do you want, it's like, who are you, sketchy parent?
Yeah.
So I always, what worked for me was, get them into their school plays, community theater, see if they love it and, take it from there because that's how I got my job and all that. Was I was in a drama competition in high school and at a showcase of a bunch of the scenes, we won first place, of course. Of course. And at a showcase of all the first place scenes, there were producers from All That scouting for kids. And so that's where they saw me and they called me to audition and that's how I got the job. And that was my first professional audition. So if there hadn't been a great drama department at my school. And I hadn't had that experience even from first grade of being in school plays and that kind of thing. You wouldn't be talking to me now.
Yeah. And I'm sure those parents to some degree are just like, oh, I was more or less you just like telling me someone to call. My kid will be on a show immediately. Like, no, it actually takes some work and like effort and time to make these things kind of work like you did. And then also kind of segueing perfectly into my next thing going into All That. So the audition process was really a blind audition. You didn't know that you were auditioning and they happened to see you guys' show. So that's pretty awesome. So how long after you got the show before you started rehearsing and recording?
Well, I still had to audition.
Okay.
They were at the showcase, and they called a bunch of us that were in different scenes to audition.
Oh, okay. So they're almost splitting up the band.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just remember they had told us, look, at this showcase, there's going to be people there that'll be like, here's my card, I'm an agent. And they're like slimy and don't, just be wary.
That's good they warned you about it.
Yeah, exactly. So when they called the school drama department and said, we want, Lori to come and audition. I was like, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't think about it. I wasn't like, oh, I really want to do a good job. I believe I might not, and did it. And like, not that I didn't care. Like I did what I do and I prepared and I auditioned, but I wasn't, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't anything because it was just a lark. Mm-hmm. And then they called me back. They gave me a call back one time. And then they told me that I was going to be on the show. And it was just like, what?
You're like, oh, that happened quickly.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, pretty random and pretty crazy. And probably the key to it was that I didn't necessarily care. I wasn't nervous or anything like that. But it was after I was among the first people cast. So from then they kept looking for new cast members. So it wasn't until a while after that we went and we did the pilot in Orlando, mm-hmm. which was like super cool. So
I
we
can
went
imagine.
there and we did, you go into the studio. Even now, after 20 years of like doing television, I still go into like the studio and you look up and all the lights are hanging. Like, I'm always like, oh, it's just big
Oh,
and neat.
the awe never
And-
wears away. Yeah, of course. The same thing would
No,
probably be with me.
I love it. I love it. And so we went and we did a table read and, we rehearsed. It was very surreal. It was very surreal. What was most surreal was I'd only done plays. So the play you rehearse for a month or more, especially in high school, if you're doing like a musical or something, you rehearse for months. And this was like, oh my gosh, on Monday, we're going to be doing the show on Friday. It was like, wait, this is happening very quickly. So I had to learn the whole new mechanism of what television was.
Yeah, the fast pace.
Yeah. And for that, there was no better training than all that, because doing a sketch comedy show is basically like doing 10 sitcoms a week, because you're doing a whole little story. And I just got this crash course in how to find my camera and how the sound people work, like how everything works. And
On
that
top
was
of learning your lines and all that other good
on
stuff.
top of learning my lines and turning it around quickly and really finding a different take on different characters. Since it was sketch comedy, I didn't just have, this one character that I was supposed to portray. It was a bunch of, little grab bag. And so I just got like a crash course that was really, really, really educational.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, trial by fire, basically.
Exactly.
You learned. I mean, it turned out really awesome because, like I said, the pilot episode. I remember watching it, like on I think it was it Nick Snick when it premiered or something like that.
Nick had been on for like a year, I think.
Yeah, and I just remember that I was like, "What is this? Like this is like an SNL for kids. This is the best thing ever." Because I wasn't staying up till 11:30 at night to watch SNL, so I was like,
right?
Our own version. This is awesome." So I guess kind of comparing it to the two, since you guys, were all doing your characters, and did you have input on your characters, like who you developed, and the writing, or is that all just from the writers themselves?
The sketches were really there on the paper, and they had the ideas. They would tailor characters to us because as they found out different people's strengths and, what people shined at, they would write to that.
Okay.
Like Elisa is crazy and I'm like me. And so they're like, what would be the funniest thing if they were stuck on a desert island?
And then you kind of cater it to yourself a little bit there, get your input.
The two of us, and we're like, oh my God, put them on a desert island and like make Elisa's character crazier and make LB like more deadpan, and that would be funny, and that's how you get like Island Girls. But we would put in little lines here and there, and if they liked them, they'd get in the script, and you were like, oh, I got a line in the script.
Your contribution.
But, exactly. But no, most of it was there.
Okay.
We had some great writers that have gone on to do a lot of stuff.
Well, this is a combination, great writing and you guys' delivering of the jokes makes it work as well, just as much. So then, kind of going on to the characters themselves. So, for Vital Information, did you insert some lines there? Did you write some of those, or was those all on paper as well before?
No, those were very carefully written, and I tend to very carefully follow my lines. I tend to take what's there and make the most out of it. And so those were very carefully written, and I didn't necessarily, I remember once I was like, can I say, switch 2 words? And I was like, can I do that? And they were like, yes, no, go ahead. But
you had more freedom than you're giving yourself.
Yeah, those were really this interesting, little deadpan experience, like deadpan turned to goofy. And
oh yeah,
I took them really seriously, and we would shoot, they were in every single show, but we would shoot like 10 sets of them at a time.
You'd backlog a bunch of them.
Exactly. So they'd be, write them. And they usually came in really late. Like they'd be finished like an hour before I had to do them. Then people would be like making the cue cards feverishly.
As you're speaking, they're writing it out.
Exactly. They get finished writing. And so, yeah, those were always like, I always felt like those were really high stakes.
I think more people probably quote those in their senior yearbooks than you probably care to know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had more than a few in my high school quote multiple vital pieces of vital information directly from Lori Beth. So
that's hilarious.
You live on not only through media and TV and film, but also through yearbooks. so yeah, and so some other things.
Excellent.
Real quick.
Oh, I'd love to see a competition.
Oh, I'll do my best. See what I can get up there for you. I'll do my best. So just kind of talking about working with Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon. You guys are on Orlando theme park in Orlando. Yeah. Where you guys run around? Like, did you guys get free reign on the theme park and around the studios? How'd that go?
Well, I got more than most people because I know. First of all, Universal Studios in LA, where I grew up, was like my favorite theme park. Mm-hmm. I loved it because I wasn't a big fan of like roller coasters where you drop 1,000,000 feet. I'm like, oh, I don't like it.
Oh, my stomach's gone.
I know, right? So there were, all these attractions, not necessarily roller coasters, but mostly it was all like where they really filmed TV and movies.
Mm-hmm. The back lots and things like that.
So I was more interested in like being on the tram ride and like looking out the side like, oh, there's people working there. What are they doing? You
and I would be the best to go to a theme park together because that's my absolute best theme park situation.
So that was already my favorite. So then all of a sudden I'm working at Universal Florida. But the trick was that I was already 18 when we started the first season. Mm-hmm. So all the other kids still had to go to school. So they would go to the school trailer for like 3 hours in the morning or something. And then I'd roll in at like 11 and be like, I'm ready for work. But one day a week, they would go to school for 2 hours. Then we would have a read through. Then they would go back to school. And then it was lunchtime. So I had these 2 hours to kill. And so every week, at least once a week, especially on this day, I would go out. I would ride Back to the Future. I would go on E.T. I would just, run around and go on, whatever rides didn't have a huge line because I didn't have that much time.
Just like on a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Like not even on a Tuesday, on every Tuesday.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Whenever I could, I would just be like, oh man. And then I was all cool because there's one of those, door, like you have to punch in the code to the door to get in.
Like an airport security, huh? You got that little door.
And like run around the park, and then I'd come back to the door to the studio and be like, bloop, 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 and get in and feel like double cool. So,
yeah, but when you do it, you have to put your hand over it, so you have to make it super secretive. That's how you do it.
Exactly, because I'm covert.
That's right. Well, awesome. So, who did you run around with? Anybody else? Any other cast members, like good friends you made? Would you guys run around with anything like that?
No, they had. You know what? I was older. Mm-hmm. I made friends with some of the
crew
and some of the staff. So I would probably run around with them more, but all those other kids had to go back to school.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was running free like a wild beast.
They were coming to you for sage wisdom and advice on life and other things, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, get away from me.
Like, I gotta go Back to the Future. Just stop talking to me.
Exactly.
Well, one of the last things real quick about all that is during the production of the show, they actually produced the movie out of a sketch, Good Burger, which you played Connie Muldoon in the movie.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Hello, my name is Connie Muldoon. I'm hosting a family reunion and my oven has run amok. I think it's the heat actuator. Anywho, I'd like to order 3 good meals, 4 junior good meals, a 17-piece order of your good chunks. Okay, on 2 of the junior good meals, I need to substitute the good cookies for good pies. Now, don't fret if that's extra. I'll pony up the overage. And, on the regular good meals, I need 2 of the good burgers to have ketchup, mayo, mustard, lettuce, tomato, but no onion. I've got an interview this afternoon. Let's see, that takes care of everyone but Uncle Leslie, who doesn't eat meat, but of course he does eat dairy, so I don't get it. Let's get Leslie a good chick with some good fries and a good fruit beer, all to go. But I would like to have my beverage while I wait. Now, total me up.
What was it like producing a movie while on the show, and like how's that all go down with who gets selected to be in the movie and all that good stuff?
It was that was really interesting. I just played Connie Muldoon in the one scene, but I had a whole long monologue that I had to say like super fast. That was really interesting because that's the first time I'd ever been on a movie set. So I didn't know how that worked. I knew how television worked, and but that was like a bigger deal to me. Like, this is a whole other game. So I went for the one day, and I went and just kind of soaked it in. And I think they just tried to give, people, like I know Josh was in it. He had like more of a role. And then I did my cameo of one of my favorite characters, Connie Muldoon.
Oh, yes.
And so that was like the perfect, the perfect turn. And it was just really cool. It was really cool to see like Keenan and Kel in this version of their characters, and just to be in it and get that experience of being on a movie set was probably the coolest thing.
Yeah, no, I'm sure for everybody on the cast, it's probably maybe their first time on a movie set. So that kind of exposure, especially for, Good Burger being, I could say, one of the more popular sketches that came out of the show. How was that one picked? Was it just because of like maybe the popularity, or like how do you know at all how they may have gone through that process?
I think it was the popularity. It was like that, Kel was like just really funny, and enough credit cannot go to that wig.
those dreads, those parted dreads,
like dreadlock braids.
Oh yeah.
That was the thing, I think, that just tied the whole thing up in a ribbon. And
then you had Keenan play the straight man to Kel.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it was just a good sketch because you could always have characters coming in because it was a restaurant, and Ed was just like so frustrating but so lovable. So it just kind of was a good like,
just a natural fit, I guess.
Exactly, to expand into a bigger universe.
Well, do you know of any other sketches that were considered, or which ones would you want to have had done? Maybe have a All That movie.
Oh, I have no idea. It never occurred to me.
Would Loud Librarian be a great movie?
Hey, could you calm that down?
You man, this is a library! Do you see that stifle sign?
Yeah, but you...
Out!
No, it would not. It would not. It would probably be so annoying, and I'll tell you something. My voice would have been gone after the first day.
I can imagine all that screaming, even filming like within a day. You probably by like half the takes, you're like the frog in the throat situation.
Oh, by the end of like doing the sketch once, not once, but like doing the sketch for the day we were filming it and the week we were rehearsing it was like as much as I could handle. So that movie, plus would you want to watch The Loud Librarian for an hour and a half?
It would be tough, only if they did a origin story of the Loud Librarian. Maybe she was like a younger Loud Librarian. She just grew into herself. Or
maybe she just started very quietly and then something happened.
She's got like some debilitating thing that just makes her louder as she gets older. Oh my God. We're writing this right now.
Dude, we are breaking this wide open.
So there's possibilities for the Loud Librarian follow-up. Prequel origin story coming up.
Right?
Well, awesome. Well, yeah, just like I said, wasn't sure, if they were considering other sketches, and since Good Burger was one of the more popular ones, if there are other popular sketches they were thinking about. But like I said, there's always room for, because sequels come out 20-25 years later, so don't you can hold your breath because it might actually happen at some point, so who knows. So but just kind of going off of all that, you're in all that until like 1998, but after that you found yourself on another awesome Nickelodeon show, Figure It Out.
It's Figure It Out.
the only show on TV where it's cool to be weird. Our celebrity panel's job is to figure out why our contestants are here. The catch is they can only ask yes or no questions. Watch as they try to figure it out.
Yes.
So what was the process of getting onto that show as a panelist?
They said, we're going to do this game show. Will you be on it?
And you're like, yes.
And I said, yes.
Easiest interview of all time.
Exactly. Well, because I was kind of the anchor. I was on nearly every single episode of the 3 seasons I did.
Oh, you're the face of all that. Just say it.
Yeah.
You were the face of all that.
No, I was the most consistent panelist on Figure It Out, but then Danny was kind of like my cohort. He was in tons of them too. And we had such a good time. And even we used to do just like super lame, funny things. Like when we would, all the audience is on bleachers. And when you're on bleachers, you can see the people's feet and stuff from underneath. So we would get introduced. And before we would get introduced, like women would put their purses down. So we would like take someone's purse by their feet and then come out and then return it.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's good reactions, I'm sure, every time, hopefully.
And it was those things that was like weird and pointless, but we're going to do it. We're going to steal from you and then give it back. We didn't go through it or anything. This all happened in like 30 seconds. But then Danny did this thing totally by accident. He didn't mean to. And it became one of our favorite things. Because Danny had kind of long hair. He still does. And we'd be sitting in our seats on the panel. And there was always that group of audience members right behind us. So Danny had gotten slimed. And he just leaned forward and flung his hair back.
Oh, yeah.
If you were like in the water or something, and the slime sprayed on all the people.
I remember that episode.
Yeah, he had no idea. And when he did that, we looked at each other like, we are going to be doing that.
You're like, now we know what we're doing from now on. Yeah.
It's like he just like created this. Oh my God.
Well, your hair, you could get to the back seat, the nosebleeds with your hair.
Yes, it was. It was quite fun. It was quite fun.
Well, the slime itself, I understand from the 90s recipes, vanilla pudding, applesauce, green food coloring, and some oatmeal. Was that the consistency at the time, or was it changing?
Well, I will say that technically slime is a naturally occurring substance that is mined from the core of the earth.
That's true.
But if you were to try to recreate it...
This is a replica version, folks.
Yes, you would use pudding and applesauce and oatmeal. A lot of times we didn't... for Figure It Out, we used other stuff. Mm-hmm. Because it had to fall from the sky out of these things. And,
hurt.
Yeah. Well, oh, my God. I got so much crap dropped on my head throughout that show. Once they dropped plastic silverware... it's from like 15 feet up. And I was just like, that's so dangerous.
People can underestimate the danger of a spork.
Yeah, I was like, that is so dangerous. I'm like, I quit the show.
No, that is kind of dangerous.
And then Summer made a joke on the recap board. She's like, let's recap. This kid is on a team. He created something. And Lori Beth quits the show. But, so they would just drop all of it. And I would give people advice. Like, if you get slimed, it's kind of natural instinct that if you're going to get slimed, if something's going to drop on your head, you're going to cover your head and kind of lean forward and make a ball. Excuse me. But I said, look, if you get slimed, lean back in your chair, let it hit your head and drip down. Because A, it's fun. It looks better. And most importantly, if you lean forward, you get slime in your butt crack. And when you get slime in your butt crack, when you try to walk, you have no traction.
Because it's going down the back of your legs into your calves.
Back, well, just your butt. You don't appreciate how much your butt keeps you kind of like, your butt cheeks like work together to just kind of keep you on course.
It's an underappreciated thing.
There's no traction. It's like, whoa, whoa. Yes, exactly. And so that was always, but you'd be like tripping, trying to get off the stage because it was just like, I have no butt traction.
I said that they have to childproof those stages just for the slime purposes, I imagine.
Exactly.
Well, also, last few things about Figure It Out. So you're, of course, always known for figuring out the people that everyone's like skill or object very quickly.
Yes or no questions again, Lori Beth.
Do you burp a Christmas carol?
A ton of prizes. We want to hear what Jim's taking home again. Jay with the hat.
Jimmy's taking home this piece of the original Clarissa Explains It All set and the Harvard Serious Play Mobile basketball set.
So what was this? Is this something you innately had in your mind? You're just investigative. You knew. You just work it through in your head.
Yeah, I think I was just like, I was just pretty good at it. But it's also difficult. I remember the first time I ever figured it out was this kid, I think he burped Christmas carols. And I figured it out and I was like, oh my God, I figured it out. And then I look at the kid and I realize, oh my God, I just made you lose.
That's
and
the thing.
I felt so bad. And I told one of the producers, I'm like, oh, I felt so bad. It like didn't occur to me that, my job was to figure it out. And they're like, well, that's the show. So I tried, and they made some of the clues pretty hard, and but I just had a knack for it. There was actually definitely that I had all the answers, and that I would figure it out, and then I would get a kickback from every like grand prize they didn't have to do, which is like so ridiculous.
I've heard versions of this. Yes.
Yes, there was no trickery, and then for a while, I think it's gone now, but there was a Facebook group called Lori Beth Denberg Ruined My Life.
People who you ruined on Figure It Out?
Yeah, that was the base of it. And that just kind of made me laugh. It wasn't like totally mean and stuff, but
they had to have fun with that stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was like pretty funny. But yeah, I was just good at figuring it out, and
they can't knock you for that.
I finally found something I was good at.
If they kept the show, if it was a career, you'd still be doing it at this point.
Exactly.
So all the crazy things you saw, what was the most unique like skill or thing that a kid did that you saw, or maybe that you thought you could do or you could do?
Oh, wow. That is a crazy question.
It's like there's something like some kid does, like you said, burp the Christmas carols. Like, I actually can do that, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
Yeah, no, I can't. I'm really bad at burping. Like people that can just like do giant burps, like whatever they want. I don't understand it.
I don't have it. I don't have that talent either.
Yeah, right. There was this one girl who built like this amazing sandcastle, and that was really cool. I always liked the people that did stuff like with their animals. I love animals, and so yeah, gosh, there were so many of them. I mean, so many record breakers, and I remember there was like the championship double Dutch girls.
Oh yeah,
that was really cool because I think that's cool anyway.
I mean, it's just entertainment for you guys on top of everything too.
Yeah, exactly. So there were so many cool kids.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen so many, and like I said, and of course, so many unique things. I wasn't sure if any of them stood out to you. You're like, actually, I can do that, or yeah, I think I can.
No, not really.
Nah,
really.
Everybody came in with those super unique talents then.
Yes.
Very awesome. Well, that's the last thing I want to talk about, Figure It Out. But going on to the last few things here. After Figure It Out, we saw you on the sitcom Steve Harvey Show as Lydia.
I know that some of you think I'm not cool or with it or down, if you will. Well, let me dispel those rumors. My name is Lydia, and I'm here to say, choose me for president on election day. Romeo's okay, but he's full of funk. All for the one with junk in her trunk.
So what was the difference in preparation for as an actress and experience from going from sketch show, then a panelist, to like a sitcom? Because like you said, for the movies, it was a completely different scenario.
Yeah. Well, for the sitcom, I was just super prepared because of, like I said, doing all that, doing a sketch comedy show is like doing 10 sitcoms a week. So I show up on a sitcom stage and I like can hit my mark and find my camera, like all this boring acting drama.
You essentially got 10 years of acting already under your belt with the...
Yeah, exactly. And especially that sitcom setup with like the 3 or 4 cameras, like that's really what I love to do. So, and that's what all that was. So that's what I was really trained on. So I came into that like really knowing my job. And I came into that in the 3rd season of their show, just as a guest star. And then they really liked what I did and they decided to keep me on as a regular. So that was pretty lucky.
Well, it seems like you kind of like not just run into them, but you earned them to your degree as well. But the situations in regards to going onto all that, and then even Steve Harvey, they liked you. They just liked you, and so they want to keep you around. So I think that's one of the bigger things in Hollywood. Some people underestimate if you're a nice person and awesome to be around. People actually want to be around you. I
always say when a friend is going to even like a regular job interview, I'm like, it's like 40% can you do what we need, and 60% are you someone I want to see every day?
Exactly.
It's like you could be the most qualified, and if you're just like on fire and have a knife in your hand, it's like I don't think we're gonna hire you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hold off. Yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Yeah. No, and then the other thing too, working on that show, you got to work with some comedians like Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer. So were some things you learned from them, or did you give them some advice as well? You're a young comedian. What was your advice to them?
Well, what was really interesting was because I came in the 3rd season, they all had their characters. They'd already been doing it. So I had to really come in and do what I was going to do and learn about the world of that show. And so that was really interesting. And, there are just some great, it's funny. The way they would do that show is they would get all ready on Thursday. They would be shooting and they'd be in full hair and makeup and all that kind of stuff. And then at a certain point during the day, they would all get together and do the read-through of the script for the next week.
Oh, so already be working. It's like a kid working ahead in the homework book.
So I came to the read-through of the episode, the first episode I was going to be in, just to do the read-through. And then these people come in not only full character, but full hair and full makeup. And I didn't know what was going on. And I'm just like, who are these people? Why? They're like way over the top. And Terry, who played Levita, the secretary, I mean, she was her character. And I'm like, who is this woman? And then, of course, as I get to know her, as we're just working and rehearsing and whatever, she's just a great actress. And I happened to meet them all for the first time while they were like
in character and everything.
Like hair and makeup. They'd already been shooting the episode for that week. So that was really interesting that I met them all like as their characters. And it was interesting then to get to know them.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they're all, like you said, just in their characters, but also in real life, just loud personalities, as I can imagine. Those big, loud personalities, I'm sure. And having all three, especially Cedric and Steve Harvey, I'm sure that was quite the show, quite the scene behind the scenes, seeing those guys entertain each other and everybody else.
Exactly.
So after Steve Harvey, after Nickelodeon Steve Harvey, you stayed busy, all kinds of projects. I saw you did some fundraising for nonprofits. You have some web series, and also last week we did the Kickstarter for The Lost Treasure of the Valley. So tell us a little bit about the fundraising projects, the web series, and the upcoming short film.
Yes. Well, I kind of took a break from pursuing acting. Mm-hmm. After Steve Harvey. No, I did a few things after Steve Harvey. I did the small part in the movie Dodgeball. and I did a couple things like episodes of TV shows, and I was like, I just kind of stopped pursuing it. I didn't have an agent anymore. I didn't have a manager, and I just kind of like said, oh, okay, I'm gonna take a break. But during that time, I did all kinds of things. Like I've been working as an actress since I was 18. So after that, I did, I was a dog walker, and I worked as what else did I do? I worked with a nonprofit to raise money, and I was a writer at an ad agency. I was a copywriter for a while. Like, I just kind of did like all this kind of different stuff.
Whatever you really wanted, really sounded like.
And it was just like, well, let me try whatever. But during that time, I would still get offers to do stuff. So that was actually pretty fun because I got to, like, just for example, this one guy contacted me through my website. And he was like, I know this is a shot in the dark, but we wrote a part for you in this sitcom pilot. And it was, and I like looked into it and everything, and it was a sitcom set in colonial times.
Oh, okay.
So
period piece.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, all the kind of corsets and like all that other stuff and funny. But what I really, really, really loved, the creators of it were these three folks. And the one woman was the head of the drama department at the Performing Arts High School. Mm-hmm. This is in Pennsylvania, by the way.
Okay.
So the head of the Performing Arts High School's drama department and the other two writer creators were her former students. So it was like, I can get behind that. That's so cool to me that, like coming from where I came from, which is basically high school drama department, it's like, yeah, this seems good. And it was funny and it was like different, just to say a sitcom set in colonial times. And that was called Goody Goody.
Okay. And
they're still, shopping it around as you do and all that kind of stuff. But it was really fun. And we shot in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is like, they were like, this building was built in 1614.
There's no sets needed. All this stuff's old over there.
And I was like, man, like I live in Los Angeles. If something was built in the 50s, it's like a super old structures and stuff. Was really cool. So I did that. I did, they found me to say, will you be on Workaholics?
So listen, guys, I don't know what you're up to later, but I'm dropping some product off at a celebrity client's house. You guys want to tag along? Meet Lori Beth Denberg.
From All That?
Yeah.
Whoa!
And the day keeps getting better.
I got some vital information for you. I'm high as I did like a teeny little cameo in Workaholics that people like were completely hilarious to buy. They thought it was really.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've never seen the video. I was like, whoa, what? When she mentioned your name, I was like, whoa, this is happening. And then the scene came up. I was like, yes, this is what every '90s kid didn't know they needed.
Yeah, so that was just like a pretty funny thing. And I did little, I did a web series called The Doll that I really liked as well. And it's set in the world of like quote unquote Barbie doll. It's the Katie doll in the show The Doll, and it's like collectors and in the convention world where everybody's just backstabbing and all about this figurine doll. Everyone's just sinister and trying to get their piece of things, and it's really funny and really fun to work on.
Is that on YouTube or where can they find that one?
It's gonna be out soon. I would say do a search for The Doll.
Okay.
The Doll web series. I think that's what it is. But I don't want to misquote like an entire website.
Don't worry, I'll find the link and it'll be in the description, people. It'll be there.
Perfect. So that's something I did. Like I would get these, inquiries from people and do whatever like kind of seemed, I'd get inquiries from people that seemed like murderers and I'd be like,
can you send me a piece of your hair?
Exactly. And then during this time too is when I was started doing weddings. So I just kind of picked and chose
Uh-oh, there's a wedding right there.
Yes. No. So I just kind of picked and chose what seemed good and what seemed fun. And, you know, a lot of and it's really fun because, or it's funny to me because a lot of these, like the people from Goody Goody or the people from the Doll web series were just like, oh my God, I can't believe you're going to do this. Like, I'm this like big 90s star to them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is really fun. And you guys have a cool thing going on. So I'm excited to be here for you. So it's this real, like, you know, give and take of excitement.
Oh no, same situation when you confirmed you're gonna be on the show here. I was like, oh yes, this is gonna be awesome. I gotta make sure I'm super prepared, like my notes and thinking about it the last few days. So you know, the excitement is over the top. So yeah, I mean, we just have such a connection and relatability to you since we grew up watching you and almost kind of watching you grow up, and then like you said, seeing you in those make your cameos and being those small parts throughout the last few years, and then when we see you pop up back in Workaholics, it's just like one of those things like you never knew you needed this gift until you get it. You're like, I loved it. It was awesome, and I still send the video randomly to friends here and there, just to give them a quick update. You know, quick vital information update.
The weirdest thing in the last, you know, however many years, that there are memes of me.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's vital information and everything else. Loud Librarian gets it all, I'm sure.
And then I show up in like, you know, BuzzFeed lists every once in a while, like things you know, that you loved from the 90s. And I read those.
Or what all of that character would you be? And then you're like, oh, I'm Lori Beth.
Yes. Actually, I did that. I did that quiz about which all that character would you be, and I got Keenan.
Oh, man.
Which I thought was really funny.
The algorithm's off, people. It's been proven.
Exactly. That was really funny. But that kind of stuff is like, it's just weird, like that I'm a meme. It just seems
well, in the last, like, you know, ever since maybe like when iPhones came out and things started progressing from there, that's when like we were able to really share our nostalgia with our friends and be like, oh my God, I love this show. You loved someone on the other side of the country loved it just as much as I did, or around the world. So the connections just starting over the last like 6 or 7 years. It's just been like this bubble over the last 20 years is finally bursting of nostalgia, and like people like myself reaching out to our favorite celebrities growing up to want to just talk to you and tell you how much we love the show and thank you for the entertainment and everything like that.
And that's really nice. That's very cool, is hearing people say. It started a couple of years ago. People would like recognize me and be like, oh, I love the show and this and that. Mm-hmm. But the last few years, I would say, people say when they come and recognize me, they go, you made my childhood. And that's like the nicest thing, especially because I know how important like TV and movies and stuff were to me when I was a kid, and how that shaped me in, you know, to what I liked and what I ended up doing. So to hear that, you know, luckily I wasn't some like evil character on a show, and the people that come up to me are like, you're the worst.
You're the worst person to my favorite character.
Exactly.
Like, you were the favorite character.
Exactly. You know, because when I was a kid, another one, I think we did The Wizard of Oz, and I was the Wicked Witch. So when we came out to bow at the end, everybody booed me. And which I was fine with, like I totally got it. But it's like, I can imagine if you're just some like horrible TV character and you go out and people are like, I can't believe you stole her husband or something, and it's like, I was just acting. So to be in a position where people are coming up and they're just so not only fans, but the nostalgia aspect is just like this loving, you know, thing that people have in their eyes. A lot of people, I give a lot of hugs.
Welcomed and unwelcomed hugs.
Yes. No. People usually, no, I'm totally a hugger. I'll give you no problem.
Nice.
But there's this like sheepish thing that people do when after we've like met or whatever, we take a picture and they're about to walk away and somebody will be like, can I have a hug? And it's like, and I'm like, yeah.
You can't. It's hard to deny when it comes up that way.
Yeah, no, it's always really sweet, and it's like, yes, you can, but it's just the fact that somebody would like just really want a hug from me is just really nice.
You need that shirt that says free hugs. Just walk around with a shirt that says free
know.
hugs.
It's well, they're not free. I charge. No, I don't.
It's free free hugs underneath a little under tiny little imprint, $20.
Exactly. No, but just the fact that people that it meant something to them.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's really, really satisfying, and it's really, really sweet. So.
Well, great. Well, like I said, we all have been loving the show. Still watch it on all the streaming services, and the memes will live on forever. So, like you said, it's just the nostalgia bubble has just burst a few years ago. So you're just gonna be getting this love for a long time. So hopefully you're ready for the love for a long time, because it's gonna keep happening.
I am ready for the love.
Well, awesome. Well, one of the last things, too, we want to talk about before we get into we have some Twitter questions, and that's the last thing we do. But tell everybody about your upcoming short, The Lost Treasure of the Valley.
Yes. Funny enough, I got involved with this through one of the couples that I married. They were friends with Rob Husted. Or Husted. God, I never found out how to say his last name.
I don't know. I saw the name and I didn't know how to say it either.
I just call him Big Rob.
Good old Rob.
And gosh, now I have to ask him how to pronounce his freaking name.
Oh, if he's listening to this, sorry, Bob.
Yeah. So he hooked me up with Rob, this groom that I had married, who was a friend of his. And I just went to the read-through, and I had a really good time. They needed someone for the read-through because somebody had dropped out. And so I just went to the read-through, and I thought, and I wasn't even thinking they wanted me to be in it. Just, I thought they needed someone for the read-through. So I'm like, oh, this is really fun. And it's a really fun story about, there are shopping carts just kind of abandoned all over LA. And it's like, what if those weren't randomly abandoned? What if they were clues to a bigger puzzle? What if they formed a whole thing where and then ... you're gonna have to watch the movie.
When I saw the teaser for it, and it started out that way, it's like the carts, I was like, okay, where's this going? And then it started doing the map thing. I was like, it's one of those conspiracy theories. You're just like, this is nuts. And then by the end of it, you're like, I'm in. I got to see more about this.
No, there's a mad adventurer, and there's like our hero that you just like totally relate to, and they go on a quest, and there's perhaps a magical killer bird. I don't want to give away too much.
There may or may not be. And some monsters, and definitely some really funny comedy. Well, nice. So when is that supposed to come out?
That is, we're doing the Kickstarter.
Oh, that's right.
So, and we actually did really well. And you can, people, one of the things that people not bid on, I know it's not an auction, but when they donated,
you get some things with your bid, or not bid, when your donation, you get items.
Your donation, you would get, you can get autographed pictures of me, and of Greg Lee, who's the other star. He's from, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Okay, nice.
So you can get pictures of us signed, and like a Skype call where we just hang out for a while, and going up and up the top donations were one of the things you get is that I'm going to have dinner with you.
Whoa. If
you bid this much, I'll have dinner with you. And if you bid this much, I'll have dinner with you and like 3 of your friends.
Oh, man.
So
that's huge. That's worth like its own promotion on its own.
So that was like, that's really funny. And what's funny is Rob didn't even put that in the original like list of things you could get for donating. And I called him. I'm like, what if we said that they could have, I could have dinner with them? And he was like, oh, that's a great idea. He's like, I wanted to put that, but I didn't want to like do that on your behalf. So,
no,
that just sounds fun.
Oh yeah, no, that's. And what would it be, a restaurant of their choice, or would you pick the restaurant?
I don't know. I had this theory that because my boyfriend's a ridiculously awesome cook, I had this theory that we'd like take groceries to their house and he could cook and we could hang out all night. But I don't. Yeah, I don't know if that will happen. So we'll probably just go to a restaurant.
There you go. I guess keeping them away from your personal address might be the best situation.
Right.
So that's awesome. So I'll put the link down there for the Kickstarter so everyone can go out there, make your donations, and we'll keep on the lookout for the release of the Lost Treasure of the Valley. So as interesting as it sounds, I got to see the rest of it. But before we finish off today, we have a few Twitter shout-outs, some Twitter questions from it blew up when I had to sift through and just pick a few out, all the questions that were thrown at us for today. So the first one we're going to go off of is Justin M. Wright from at Thinkers Fuge, and his question is there any skit on All That you wanted to do but never got a chance to?
Thank you for the question, Justin. Wow, that's super interesting. Well, I'll say what I finally admitted just recently over the last year or so is the only thing I can think of like that is originally in the first read through of the script, it was Vital Information with Cal Mitchell.
Oh.
And I remember being so jealous. I wanted to do Vital Information. I just totally got what it was supposed to be, and I was just coveting it. And over the week, just randomly, I didn't say anything. I promise. I didn't say anything.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, Kel had a really heavy week with a lot of sketches. And the producer came to me and he said, so we're going to give you the Vital Information. And I was just so happy inside.
Playing it cool. Yeah, play it cool.
Yeah, I totally played it cool. But I was so happy inside. And so then that worked out really well because people really love Vital Information. And but that's the only thing I really can't think of anything else.
Well, that'd be so tough because Kella just has a completely different delivery than you would, I feel like.
Yeah, it could have been an entirely different world.
Yeah, who could have been, could have, would have, should have, who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, well, we'll take the possibility that you may not have been on Vital Information as a solid answer for that one. So Justin, there's your lifelong.
Yeah.
You can sleep at nights now. So next one is we got Good Times, Great Movies at GTGM Cast, and they say, I would love to know the circumstances surrounding her appearing as herself in the episode of Workaholics. Are those dudes fans?
I think they are. I don't know.
I think they're 90. They're about. I'm 33. I think they're around my age. So 90s kids all through and through.
But so we just got. They were looking for me, and one of my friends who's an agent, said, we got this note, and they get the breakdowns, which is all the different parts that are that casting directors are looking to fill. Mm-hmm. So the agents get these things called the breakdowns, and then they look through them and they say, oh, my client would be good for this. I'm going to submit them, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes there's just notes in there. And one of the notes was, does anyone know how to get a hold of Lori Beth Denberg? So my friend called me and said, here's the number. So I just called them back because this is when, I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a manager. I'm like, all right, let's see. And they just wanted, me to play myself in this little thing. And I was like, sure, that sounds so fun. And I didn't even know that we were supposed to be smoking weed or anything like that.
Had you seen the show beforehand at all?
You know what? I hadn't seen the show. I'd seen clips. And they said to me, that's when I was working as a copywriter at the ad agency. So I was really focused and really busy. Mm-hmm. So they sent the thing, and then they're like, your scene is on page whatever. And I read it and I'm like, oh, that sounds super fun. And then when I actually got to the set that day, I had some time and I'm like, well, I better read the whole script. And then I realized that it's the drug dealer saying well, do you want to go deliver some weed to my celebrity client? And that we're all in the bathtub, in the hot tub, smoking joints and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's I've seen it more than a few times, and it still gets me every time.
Exactly, but I should probably read things before I agree to do them.
It's all right. That honestly, that was the perfect show for you to be on, because those guys make 90s references galore throughout that show. So you being in that was pitch perfect for the show.
What's funny is we were in the hot tub, and they God, I'm not even going to know their names. So I'm just going to say the crazy hair dude was on my left.
Blake.
Blake, and then Adam.
Adam and
the short
Durst.
guy, right?
Yeah.
So they were on either side of me, and then the third guy is Hugh.
Anders.
Anders. I have no recollection of him because he was like a whole person away. And then what was funny was, but they were super nice. Like everyone on the show was, I mean, it was just a good show and good people.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just a really fun day. But I was in the hot tub, and what are they? The line we ended up with was, "Oh, I got some vital information. I'm high as blank."
Yeah.
I can swear on you.
Oh yeah, go for it. Go full throttle.
I'm high as fuck. And but that's the one they ended up with. And what happened during the shoot was the director was kind of right off camera, and he kept giving me different lines to say. And he was like, "You can't offend me. I have a filthy mouth, and I'm can go places." So so he kept asking me to do like, you know, would you mind saying, you know, that you and Keenan had a love child? And I'm like, he kept asking like very sheepishly, like worried. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to say whatever you want.
Yeah, just whatever. He's like, I don't want to, he's probably just like, I don't want to like try to ruin your 90s legacy, but would you mind saying this?
He's like, really, like, would you mind saying? And I'm like, dude, whatever you want. Let's just, so I said like 20 like crazy things about like, you know, whatever it was that I murdered Clarissa and that I had Kel's love child and like all this kind of crazy stuff.
I would love to see the B-roll and all that stuff.
Yeah, you know what? That would be funny too. I've thought about that. But they that's the one they chose. Was
I know you've done updated the viral information. Maybe if you do another viral information of some sort, you should just recite the old lines that you did that they didn't use on that scene for Workaholics.
Yeah. The viral information was fun. I wrote those with my friend Clark, my writing partner, and that was really fun. Because I'll tell you something. I'll be really honest. Sorry, do we have time for me to tell you something?
No, I'm on your schedule. If you want, I just want to make sure we're not going over anything you need to do.
Pretty much everybody that contacts me usually wants me to do like, we're hoping we could do a take on your vital information. And it's like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, you just don't want to do the thing that's like, hey, here's my catchphrase from the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm pathetic, and that's all I do. So I never want to do that. But Perez Hilton's website, and he contacted us about doing these like grown-up celebrity-based ones.
Mm-hmm. And now, Lori Beth Denberg with viral information for your celebrity life.
You can't complain there are no good roles for women in Hollywood if your highest grossing movie to date was a sex tape. A lot of people in Hollywood get into drugs to have a good time. Not me. I got into drugs for the money. If you've had more than 5 nip slips in the past year, that's not a wardrobe malfunction. That's a my daddy never loved me malfunction.
This has been Lori Beth Denberg with viral information for your celebrity life.
And I was like, that sounds fun. So we did those, and they're kind of filthy and sarcastic, and so those I had fun doing.
Well, good. Like you said, it's a fine line of being like, oh, yeah, I embrace what I'm popular for, but I'm not. The Dog and Pony Show has a certain point to where it stops.
And I'm not like, I'm a serious actress. I don't do vital. Like it's super fun and people love it. But I don't want to keep exactly. It's like the Dog and Pony Show, and then I'm like, I'm sad, and all I do is this.
No, that's not what we do here. We want to talk about the good days, and we want to talk about how the good days keep going as well.
Yeah, no, you've been great. We've got to talk about so much, but keep going. Do we have more Twitter?
We have two more. We have 2 more questions, and then we'll be finished up for the day. So we have Ashley from Cosmos by Tattoo says, any funny stories from the Steve Harvey set? We had the one we met them all while they're in character. Is there anything else?
Oh, there was tons of stuff. Oh gosh, now I'm not going to be able to remember anything. Just whenever we had physical stuff to do. I remember one time I I think I had taken over, my character had become the hall monitor. So I took it like way too seriously. Like that's what the character would do. And like, I turned it into kind of like cops, like just like skulking around. And I decided that I was going to kick the door open, like just kick it open, like total like TV style. And so we rehearsed it. And then one time I kicked the door open, it just fell off the hinges.
Just clean off.
Yeah, it just crashed down, and we all laughed at that. Like, take it down a notch.
That should have been the take. I feel like for comedic purposes, that was the one should have been used.
It was pretty funny, but there's just there's those moments that that stick out, like when I did a song in tap dance, and people love when I did that rap.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always go back to the rap.
It was just like doing crazy, like my character just turned into this like over the top, enthusiastic, thing and smart. So I would always be scheming, and that kind of stuff was always just really fun. And I'd end up in like crazy costumes, getting the door off the hinge. Well, first of all, please don't do this, everybody. But, if you get a fake door on a set, just kick it as hard as you can. It's so satisfying.
Without hyperextending your knee or something like that.
Yeah, it's just like kick a door. And so every time I did it, I would get like more like aggressive until it like totally fell off the hinges and probably almost hit me in the head. But
and then you get home, that's how you try to open all your doors at home.
Exactly. And it's like, oh no, now I have to pay for new doors.
It's all right. As long as just take the doors from the studio, just lift them from there. You're gonna have the same doors at the studio at home, but it's sacrifices. It's sacrifices. So, we got one more question here from Danny Boy at Danny Boy Sees All, and he's asked, "What was the weirdest prop you saw on the set of All That?"
Oh, well, that's an easy answer. The big ear of corn.
Totally forgot about that.
I will tell you about the big ear of corn. It was created for one sketch.
Stop this! Stop it!
What happened? Yeah, she popped the corn. Let's go do the show.
What are you doing? I'm putting the big ear of corn back together.
And we did the sketch, and then I just really had this moment where I was like, how random is this? I'm getting to be on a TV show like I've always dreamed of and always wanted to do and always prepared for. And my job required someone to build a giant ear of corn. Like the surreal aspect of that really got me in that moment.
Yeah, like when someone received a paycheck that week, it was because they had put time into making that prop for you.
Yes, exactly. And so I just expressed this to the writers. I'm like, I love that big ear of corn. Can we use it again? And that became the beginning of the big ear of corn, like being a character, and the beginning of the big ear of corn, like me and the big ear of corn being in love. Because if you watch the show, it's
anything can happen.
Big ear of corn. Like it's we are best friends. So, but that was like that, and that was early on too, because obviously there was crazy stuff all the time. But that was one of the first things where I was like, my job that I get paid for includes a gigantic 6-foot ear of corn. And I just wasn't willing to let that go to like prop heaven. I was like,
did you steal the corn when all that was done?
I did not. I did not. I've heard that it's in storage.
Okay.
He's okay. He's going to be okay.
He'll be in the Smithsonian at some point in the future.
Exactly. So that was definitely like love at first sight. And I'm glad the Big Ear of Corn now has its, I'm sure its own.
I'm sure there's a Facebook page and everything, all that good stuff. So yeah, look it up. I'm sure you'll find an encyclopedia of things referencing the Big Ear of Corn. So yeah. Well, Danny Boy, thank you for that question, and thanks everybody for the Twitter shout outs. Lord Beth, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to go over, so I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast today. Where can everybody find you? I know we just talked about your recent projects. Where can everybody follow you on social media so they can find out more about the projects as they come along?
Oh, yeah. I have. Oh my God, I'm so bad at social media.
Don't worry. Regardless, it's going to be listed in the description, everybody.
Yes. No, I'm here thinking like, what's my Twitter handle? Oh wait, no, I'm at Lori Beth Denberg on Twitter, and I have a Facebook fan page. That's Lori Beth Denberg, and I have an Instagram. But I think you can look me up on Instagram as myself. A lot of times when I go to these social media places, there's already somebody using my name. So I think I might be LB Denberg or the real LB Denberg. I can't remember. But if you
get the investigative skills out,
if you look at my name, you'll be able to find it. Look me up.
It'll be in the description.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can find me, and you can find me on my website. It's LoriBethDenberg.com. And if you want to get married, let me know. Because I love doing the weddings, and I love wedding DJs, which is why we got along so well.
Beautifully. I love it. Lori Beth, again, I can't thank you enough. Everyone go find her on social media, follow her, see what Lori Beth's been up to and what's about to happen with her upcoming projects. And of course, and all you 90s kids who are looking to get married, you know who's going to be your upcoming officiant. So of course. So Lori Beth, again, you made this 90s Kids Day, so thank you so much. I appreciate it. And everybody else, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast. Please subscribe, like, follow, and rate the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, and YouTube. And don't forget to find the podcast on PoopCulture Network website at PoopCulture.com, along with other podcasts as well. So thanks, and be excellent to each other.